I just thought I'd put up a little video here, just kind of let you guys know what's going on. So I did bring the XL175 home, as you saw in the video, my last posted video, but the XL250 has just been sitting here. All I got left is the fenders and the gas tank, but it's still snowing those cottonwood seeds, and they're ready to basically just give them a sand. I might sand them out in the next day or two, and that's the worst of it right there. And then the next, as soon as the cottonwood seeds stop falling, I'll paint them and we'll get this bike finished up. That bike's going to be a bit of work. I'm going to paint, strip it to steel, bump it out, make sure it's all perfect, and then I'm going to paint it the whole tank blue, and then I'm going to paint the black, and where that orange is going to be black, and then I'll mask it and paint the orange right over the black. All the paint's right there, and the bike will be done. It has no gas in it, so I'm not worried about it gumming up. The whole fuel system was 100% dry. I blew the tank out with compressed air, get everything out of it because I'm going to be working on it. And I've been riding this bike. It's a blast to ride. I love it. I got to get a new throttle grip, I think, over the years. Anyway, so I'm going to order one of them tonight, but I've put 256 miles on it now, and I'm guessing it gets maybe around 45 miles to the gallon, and compared to those bikes, it's a gas pig. Both those bikes get 100 miles to the gallon, and this one I check the gas in it regularly. In fact, before I went out today, I checked the oil and the air in the tires. The front tire was 21 pounds, and it's supposed to be 28 pounds. And the rear tire was 21 pounds, also, or close to it, and it's supposed to be 32 pounds with my weight on it. So they're both right at pressure. The oil is right on the money. I might change the oil in it, because I only changed oil in it the once when I got it, and then I put oil in it. I didn't change the filter, I just put oil in it after I painted it. I drained the oil because I had the engine hanging kind of, on end from the cherry picker, and I didn't want oil running out on something I wanted to paint. So I made sure it was completely drained of oil. And but anyway, I was riding it today, and the clutch just felt a little like bindy when I was pulling it in. So I went around and greased the fittings on it, and that took care of it. So this is the fitting for the clutch linkage right. I don't know if it shows up in the video or not. Greased that, and then I greased that for the swing arm, and greased that one for the swing arm. So I'm trying to keep after it. I love riding this bike. Now, as far as the charging system goes, I did about probably close to 50 miles today. And when I got home, it was 12.8 volts, and I just plugged this in, and it says 80%. It's charging at less than a half an amp, 14.5 volts. So I think the charging system's coming to life. I've replaced the stator with a used one that was off a working, charging system. The bike was wrecked or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was a motorcycle junkyard in Wisconsin. They were parting the bike out, and he said he guaranteed the charging system to work, and said he'll give me, he says, if it doesn't, send it back and I'll refund your money. So I bought the stator, and it still was intermittent on when it felt like it wanted to charge or not. It worked the same way as the other one. So the other stator, I'm certain, is good. They both passed the tests with the ohm meter and everything, and found nothing wrong with either one of them. They both had exactly the same specs, which was shop manual specs. So to me, the stator was fine. I didn't know if the rectifier was bad. It tested good because a diode is a one-way valve. It allows current to flow one way and not the other. And generally, when a diode pops, your battery will go dead really quick when you're not running it, because it can drain back through the charging system, and it can literally kill the battery in a matter of hours. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with the rectifier, and but I contacted that same yard where I got the stator off the same bike. I got the rectifier and the voltage regulator. and I put them both on. All I did was clean the connectors, and I had to replace some connectors because, and I don't know if I have video doing that or not. I don't know what I've been videoing, but anyway, one of the connectors looked hot. This one. See how it's discolored looking? So to me, it got hot. And then I got to seeing it had a crack in it, so I soldered the crack. And then I was getting a solid 15 amps out of the alternator or the generator when I'd full field it. Before I'd only get maybe 7, 8 amps, but after I fixed that, then I could get a full 15 amps out of the charging system. So anyway, I fixed that and then rode the bike, and it really was a little better, but not bad. I could go further. It would take longer for the battery to die. And so I thought, well, there's still something wrong. So I took the used voltage regulator I purchased off and took the cover off and cleaned the points, and the points were really dirty. So I polished them up like chrome. I used some 800 emery to final it, and then some paper, just regular paper, like a post-it note, you know, folded over so there's no sticky side near it, and just polished it with a post-it note. Put it back on, and it was charging. And but then after I rode it a while, it stopped charging, and now it's, and so I just thought, well, the heck with it. I can do a full lap on Woodward now and not run the battery dead. So I'd come home and check battery voltage. Well, today I did more than that because I put about 50 miles on the bike. I had some other errands I had to do, but like I say, it's charging. So yesterday when I had it out, I did the same thing. I had 12.8 when I was out cruising Woodward last night on it. And it was crazy nuts. It was on Saturday night, and it was like 75 degrees, clear blue sky, perfect. And I thought, well, I'm just going to go out and see if anyone's out on Woodward. And yeah, sure enough, there were just tons and tons of cars out and bikes and everything. And this is what I took to check Woodward out. And guys would come up and ride next to me and look the bike over one end to the other. You know, some of these bikes, you know, they're like those super fast ones. They'd come screaming up behind, see my bike, slow right down. You know, I'd be doing the speed limit 45, and they'd look the bike over and thumbs up. I mean, they'd really look it over and then give me a thumbs up, and then zoom, they're gone. But yeah, I had it out on Woodward. I was running, you know, way up in the northern part where it's kind of rural up there. I was running at 60, and it was just comfortable. It likes RPM. There's no doubt in my mind this thing has a performance cam. The idle spec is 950 to 1150, and I got it idling at 1150. It seems to stay running good there. 950, it's a little lopey, and sometimes it stalls, and it's kind of, you know, hems and haws at the lower RPMs when you're on the throttle, but you get into the RPMs and this thing just rips. I mean, if I kick it down a gear or two and give it the throttle when I'm like slowing down for a traffic light or something, you know, I try and hit them all green. And so I'll back off when I see it's red, you know, so by the time I get up there, I might only have to drop a couple gears. And if I drop even an extra and really get into the throttle, I can leave everyone in the dust and you're hanging on. It's just an absolute blast to ride this bike. I love it. So anyway, I'm getting back with the charging system too. I'm thinking that the headlight, I couldn't find an original headlight for the bike. The original one that was in this bike was broken because, I don't know if you remember, if you've watched the videos from the beginning, but this bike I bought in an estate sale for $500. And it would have went to the scrapyard had I not bought it. It was really rough, didn't run. It had 1976 license plates on it, so it sat in that garage for almost 50 years. And crap had been piled on it and falling on it, and it still has some of the battle scars on the tank right here. And I'm leaving those because I can tell people about that. And you know, this fender was completely twisted and smashed in, and the chrome was horrid. And I love it white. It just finishes the bike off. I'm not even going to look for a chrome fender. I absolutely love that fender on there white. And I matched it to this. So when I bought the bike, this was white. These were white. This is still the paint from when I bought the bike. I did repaint the frame, sandblasted it, repainted it. painted the engine, gave the side covers a quickie. This is the original chrome. I'm going to still try and find a better rear wheel. That's the worst part of the whole bike. I want to do something about that. And but I'm pretty certain I'm starting to get all the bugs worked out. And plus, the more I ride it, the better it runs, and the better it's now that I put it over a couple hundred miles, and it really runs good. And then after I came back with the bike, saw how crazy Woodward was, I did 2 laps with the bike, and then I came back and got the Bel Air. I didn't get home till almost 10 o'clock at night. It was nuts out there. It was fun. Parked, you know, you can watch the craziness and stuff, and there was thousands of people out there just spectating. It was quite good. So it was a fun evening. But anyway, I just thought I'm going to add this in. Maybe this video will continue on with something else. Maybe it won't. It's still got some warmth in it. Heat rises, so you know, usually that's the hotter part. The clutch is behind that. So yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't gone. I did put a lot of miles on it, so if the alternator's not keeping up, I'm going to try and find an original headlight, because I think that one draws more current than the original. I guess I didn't finish talking about that. I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, the headlight is, because I got ranting after I talked about the headlight being broken, knocked out and broken, everything knocked silly. But I think that changing that to the factory original headlight might reduce the draw on the alternator, and that might, then it might take care of everything, because it seems to be charging. It's just like, if I ride it with lights off, which I don't do, run it lights off, it charges great. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that it's drawing more current than what it's designed for. I don't remember. I think it's not a LED. I think it's a halogen. And halogens draw more than like incandescent. So not only is that probably drawing more, I don't know if the switch and the wiring is really adequate to run a halogen light. I guess you shouldn't run them on the stock wiring. You need to run a thicker gauge wire. And you know, the switch is probably good enough for the higher amperage the headlight draws, but the wiring may not. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for a stock headlight for it. Hopefully I can find a decent used one, or I'd like a brand new one, but yeah, I'm not paying what some people want for them. Another thing that's been keeping me busy are my gardens. And you've seen me paint parts out here. This is where I dumped the paint cup, and when I was painting the swing arm for the XL 250. But I'll give you a little view. Usually I try and keep my backyard my private little oasis. It looks like I need to put some water in the bird bath to keep them happy. Got a disco ball. There'll be morning glories on that up there, and there'll be the annual version. You don't want the perennial version. You can never get rid of them. They'll take over and kill everything. And I'm going to get new cedar for the park bench probably next week. And but there you go. So now you can see what the inside of the paint booth looks like in the summertime. You see a lot in the videos in the winter, or in the, you know, time of year when I'm painting out here. Usually I don't paint this time of year. And I don't know if they're showing up. There's one of those little fuzzies right there. They're everywhere. And there's one. And the last thing I need is those things in the paint. So that's, and it's been about 2 or 3 weeks of that stuff coming down, you know, the tree seeds and the maple seeds were nuts this year. I think it was a bumper crop. I think it was a bumper crop of those cottonwood seeds too. There's another one. Yeah, they're just everywhere. So painting's gonna wait. It's not like I depend on that bike to go to work or anything, you know, it's just a toy. So if it sits there, it sits there. And this bike, I haven't been riding that much. I don't know if I said that or not, but there's no battery in it. And when I took it to my brother's, I left the battery. I just unplugged the connector. And he must have taken the battery out, and I got home, went to plug the battery in, there was no battery in it. But this has a magneto ignition, so it doesn't need a battery to run, so I can ride it. But the signals and lights don't work when you're at stops or the engine's idling. There isn't enough current from the alternator to run them, you know, to make them function. But if you're cruising along and you put them on, they work. It's just when you bring the engine down to where there's really not any output on the alternator. So anyway, we could, you know, deal with the battery in the future. I guess what I could do is pop the battery out of here and put it in here. That's a 6-second 6.3B, and I think the connectors are the same, so I should be able to, and that battery's unplugged, so I can just put it in this bike and plug it in, I guess. Just as long as I'm checking oil. I drove this a lot yesterday. Right on the full mark. I don't know if that shows up on there or not, but perfect. And yeah, I took this car out to drop some stuff off for a art show for Jeremy, and then drove it around, ran to the store, did a little running around with it, and then that night took it and did a couple laps on Woodward. So it got a little bit of a run. That was kind of nice. Yep. It's fully charged 100%, and that was about 30 minutes maybe, so that wasn't bad. So I'll just I'll put this on the XL250 in a little bit and bring that battery up. It's been a while since I've put the maintainer on the battery to the 250. So yeah, and all my camera batteries are dead because I really haven't been using them. I got, this is the GoPro that's on my helmet. I just changed the battery because I always run that when I'm on my bike and I'm riding that. So there's tons of video on that GoPro. I'm not gonna upload it. You guys, you know, you've seen me riding it. I have video up. And I just gave the gas tank a nice coat of wax. I spilled some gas on it last time I put gas in it. I used my can zero, that's 5 gallon. I have a few of those. Anyway, it's just to keep 15 gallons on hand for the generator and just keep it fresh. I use the same gas and everything else, so it gets burned, and this thing's been seeming to love it. And that's ethanol free. It's 89 octane ethanol free. I have to drive into Warren to get it. It's just easier to fill it here with the can, and I just take one of those towels and just kind of fold it over and drape it over here, just so if I do drip any, you know, it doesn't go on the paint. And the trick with using these, if you forget to open them, like before you pick it up and start pouring it, I open it and let the pressure of the vacuum out, and then I close it, and then I put that in the tank, and then I pull this open a little at a time and just hold it open, and then once the tank's up to the level, I just release it, and then I can tip the can down, let it finish dripping in the tank, and then you're done. They're pretty easy to use, but the secret with these cans, a lot of people hate them because they tip them up and them pulleys, and they get a huge blast and it comes out in their face and everything. You have to open them before you start pouring them while they're sitting on the ground, otherwise you're going to be in for a rude awakening. That's the battery condition on the XL250. Let's plug this thing in. It's usually the CB500 says 100%, 7.8 volts, but yeah, see, it's charging at 0.3 amps. It's already up to, well, it was 60%. There, it's back. So this battery really isn't, it's charging at 1 amp. So this battery, and it's 80% already. So that battery probably won't take long, and it'll be right up to snuff. That didn't take long. That was about maybe 15 minutes. So yeah, battery's right up. This battery was charging at less than a half an amp, 0.4 amps is what it was charging at. So, you know, I think the charging system's doing its job, and I just really enjoy riding this bike. It's such a fun bike to ride. Like I say, the more I ride it, the better it runs. I'm kind of wondering if maybe it had some stuck rings from sitting for almost 50 years. And it had good compression, but, you know, maybe a bit of riding, it's freed them up. It really, really, I have to say, it runs good. The paint's holding up well from the heat. It's just automotive acrylic enamel. This is high heat paint on these. I think these are, yeah, they're cold enough where I can touch them. The engine's still pretty warm. This is definitely cold-blooded. You gotta let this thing warm up. Those I can just kick them and go. I can with this too, but it doesn't like to idle until you've done about 4 or 5 miles. This knob, I understand it's here. The reason for it being here is so you can turn the throttle up a little bit and tighten that up and it'll hold it. So I started up cold, full choke, put the choke about halfway, and I put the throttle, bring the RPM up to about 2,000 or so, and tighten this up, and then open the choke up. And as it warms up, it'll start getting close to 3 grand. Then I just come over here and I can turn this back a little to slow it down. And then eventually I just loosen this up and it drops to idle, but it'll idle. But it'll want to stall. You got to keep your, if it starts dropping below 950, I usually just give it a little throttle and get it back up to around 1100. And then once it's warmed up, it consistently idles about 1100 to 1150 right in there, which is the high end of factory spec. But like I say, I believe there is a performance cam in the engine as to the way it performs like a typical engine with a performance cam. And nothing's factory spec on this puppy as far as tuning it. I've changed a number of things, timing, fuel mixture, and it's finally running pretty good. So I think usually when you change the, you know, when the valves open and how long they're open and how far they open, it affects everything on the engine. So you got to kind of tune it differently to make it run good. So anyway, yeah, it's doing pretty good. I'm just going to end the video here, just kind of give you an idea what's going on here. So if you like the video, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate it. It definitely helps. And thank you for taking the time to sit there and watch my video.